Well, we might as well start this one out right, folks. So as you can see, we're doing a 700-watt chase effort to get back on the front group because there was just a crash in the middle of a flat, straight road in this road race. So myself and a few others, I actually just kicked the camera on, are chasing back on this group. We've got to be in the front group. It's a road race, so there's really no other option but to chase and get back on. So if this doesn't set the tone for how this race went overall, well, here you go. This is what's going to be. Anyway, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Dalton. Welcome to my channel. Today I am breaking down for you stage 2 of the Tour de Murrieta. So, if you haven't yet seen stage 1 and you want to know how I'm sitting overall in the Omnium and everything, click the link that's going to be in the top of this video, and that'll take you to the stage 1 breakdown of the 4-5 crit that happened yesterday. So today I want to take you through the circuit race. This is stage 2. Like I said, it's Omnium, so there are overall points, and I am currently sitting 15th in GC. So this is a 4.2 mile circuit, 39 miles or so overall. The race duration for us was about hour and 33 minutes, I think is what it took us. We averaged almost 25 mile an hour throughout the whole thing. So as you can see here, I'm just hanging out in the pack. But to give you some sort of background on my strategy in this race and what I thought I was going to try and make happen, I'll break that down for you now. So the general idea, I was sitting 15th overall in the Omnium, which is basically the general classification, but it's not time-based, so it's an Omnium because it's points. The top guys, they are not going to mark me sitting at 15th. So I had luckily had a chat with a few other riders who were sitting a little lower in GC, and our idea was, hey, we might as well roll this thing and get off the front of this race. And hopefully the riders that are sitting top 5 in GC don't chase us. I don't think they will because we're not marked. They're not really worried about us. And then you never know what's going to happen in a field sprint. So maybe they don't get a very decent position. And if we do finish off the front and take the top spots, then we might be able to shake up the GC. So I've jumped ahead here. I've actually already cut out probably 20 minutes of the race at the beginning until you saw where that crash happened and we were chasing back on. I just turned my camera on pretty late because I knew it wouldn't last the whole race. So I've cut out about another 10 minutes. Like I said, this is an hour and a half long race. Really not a lot to talk about when I'm just hanging out in the pack, just surfing wheels, moving up. Now, this is an interesting instance. I wanted to sort of just throw some soft attacks and see if I could sort of roll off that way. This is pretty early for an attack. You know, maybe not the smartest move. If you look at my rear cam, you see everybody just kind of rolled with me there. I didn't get any separation, so for me, I'm realizing maybe it's a little too early in the race for that, but I'm still going to drill it a little bit here and see if they'll maybe let me go, see if we can get any control of the group and hold them back. Now, this isn't necessarily ideal. A more ideal scenario would be when I attack later, and I will jump to that, but what I was thinking in my head and what we had talked about was hopefully getting away when like a points preem happens. So they are offering points preems in the middle of this race, and you know all the top 5 guys in GC are really going to be digging in and going for that points preem. So ideally, none of them would roll with us in the break, which means everybody would sit up and let us go. So if they all sprint and they all sit up, I'm just going to keep the train rolling and hopefully get pretty much an instant gap. Because basically in Cat 4-5, when anybody brings back a hard effort, everybody likes to just sit up. So if I casually just drill it, don't throw the big attack that looks threatening, but just kind of roll off the front with some pretty heavy wattage, then I'm thinking, you know, that's how I'm going to be able to establish some level of distance between myself and the front of this race. So as you can see here, I'm pulling just tempo, nothing crazy, and then I will slot back here in a minute. But let's go ahead and jump forward to a more animated part of the race, and I want to check out the spot where I actually throw an attack when we're sprinting for the points preem, because that's when things start to get pretty interesting. Before we get there though, I do want to talk a little bit about the course, just kind of a bit more, because I think that, you know, understanding the 3 rollers or so that are on this course is pretty important. So centerline rule is in effect at this point. The official kept coming up to the front, getting pretty frustrated with a few people who were trying to advance their positions. And at this point, these rollers just keep it super strung out. You can see we're doing 35, 36 miles an hour as we come down. The problem is nobody was maintaining momentum up the next roller, so we would slow way down, which meant you would get swarmed. These rollers did a lot of damage though. I'm pretty sure we dropped quite a few people when we came through this section of the course. So they definitely did their fair share of damage, and they do damage on me later as well when I was off the front. So I actually totally forgot about this one. A couple guys are kind of off the front here. My teammate is driving the pace in front of me, and then you can hear I was kind of like, hey, keep it tempo, I'm gonna go wide. And so I tried to get a little bit of a gap here, and you can see I'm digging in, but if you look behind me, you can see my rear cam. I think dudes are coming pretty fast, and there's not really a good chance I'm gonna get into a good rotation here unless some guys bridge to me.
Let's go, kid.
So
Let's go.
Me and the stage 2 rider, I'm like, let's go, man. And we make a good attempt at it, but if you look back in my rear cam, you can see the field is strung out, and they're coming for us. So even me doing 450, 500 watts here, really putting in the work, I know we're going to get caught. So I flicked, I wanted to come through. He was just pulling off the front, so he didn't have the gas, nor was he going to pull through, but totally fine. Understandable. Slow down 20. We get almost immediately caught. Not a big deal. This guy, he comes through, he's like, hey, you want to work? I'm like, dog, I ain't got it. So I'm just trying to drop back in the pack, but nobody's going to let me. Now they're just going to stick me on the front. But it is what it is. It's totally understandable, man. So now I'm sitting second wheel, but I'm only doing 90 watts. So whatever, I'll take it. At least it doesn't tumble me back to 50th wheel, and I can sort of hang out still in my top 15, 20 wheel area that I want to be in this whole race. I don't know if I told you guys already, but the field is like 80 deep. So even in my rear cam, you can't see the back of the field. That is a good thing. I do not want to be back there. All right, jumping forward again. We are in a good position here, and this is the points preem lap I was talking about. So we're coming in pretty close to the start finish. You can see I just came around the 2 Velosport kids, and both of those guys are sitting like top 5 GC. So I know that they're going to be sprinting for this points preem, and the whole field is going to be super strung out right now. And so it's about to get real dicey. So as you watch how this plays out, you'll just see basically all these guys around me are top 10 GC guys, which is exactly what we had talked about. So in my head, I'm like, dude, this is the opportunity. So I'm going to stay on the wheels and see if hopefully I can just sort of follow this. And then I'm hoping that they sit up. So I'm yelling here, and I know they're going to go. And honestly, I see we have a huge gap, and I'm like, dude, you know what? Why doesn't everybody just roll? So I yell that we have a gap, but as you can see, everybody's opening up. They're just sprinting for the preem. So these guys go for the points preem. Boom. Don't know who got it exactly. I think actually Isaiah, he ends up, spoiler alert, he ends up with the overall GC win. But I think he took the points preem here. And so I'm rolling, and I'm realizing that they're not pedaling hard. They're sitting up, and I'm like, you know what? This is the opportunity, man. And I've got a little bit of a gap behind me. There's a go fast rider on the front. I know he's not going to pedal hard because ultimately he wants his rider off the front with me. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll this, and you can see this thing is opening up quick after that points preem. So I'm honestly dying because I followed that move, but it worked out really well because I get a huge gap pretty quick. So I want you guys just to sort of pay attention to my rear cam here. I'm pedaling hard, but I also don't want to just like go insane because the idea is that somebody's going to bridge to me here. I definitely don't think I'm going to solo away from this field for, you know, 4 laps to go, I think is what we were at. 4 times 4.2 miles is still like over 16 miles, 16.8 miles or whatever. So I'm not trying to do this by myself. Just about that time, Go Fast Rider comes across, and he lets me know. And so we're talking here. He's like, hey, let's see what we can do. We know it's a big risk for both of us. It's either all in, or we're just going to die and then pop and get brought back and probably lose. But anyway, so we get here, and man, we talk it out. We decide on 10-second pulls. We talk about making up a ton of time on the backside. really in the headwind, I think, because nobody's going to want to pull through the headwind section. So, man, we're drilling it here. I come through with my 10-second pull. It ends up being a lot more than 10 seconds. And I probably should have just sat in on him for a little bit at the beginning of this, just because I had done such a huge effort to follow that move and then also kind of get this thing started. So he looks back. We've got a massive gap, but he comes around me with some speed here, and I'm like doing 500, 600, 700 watts trying to hold the wheel. And dude, this is where it just gets bad. You can see I was doing 460, and then I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'm like, wait, I'm doing 400, 500. And so, it's so hard to watch this footage back because I'm just drilling it. You can see my heart rate is just getting up there. So I take this corner awfully, and then I'm like telling him, hey, I'm off your wheel. And then, man, he was way too strong for me. I was like, dude, I'm doing 400. I don't blame him whatsoever for looking back, being like, dog, if you can't stay on, I'm out of here. So he goes solo. I'm doing 450, 500 watts. I cannot close the gap to his wheel. And this is the start of pain. A lot of pain. So I've already been off the front for like, I don't know, 3 minutes, I think, at this point or something is where we ended up. But yeah, I lose his wheel. And spoiler alert again, he rides away solo for the victory. We never actually see him again. And as you can see in my rear cam, the field is nowhere to be seen. And that is because his team is on the front of the field, and they're just keeping it tempo, keeping it not fast. And then my teammate Vance, huge shout out to Vance, actually realized that I was up the front with him. He came up front also and did a lot of work to kind of interrupt any potential like organized chase effort. But if you listen closely, you can hear my breathing is out of control, and I'm basically redlining here, and I'm pedaling threshold. Like my threshold's like 305, so if I'm pedaling above that, I'm doing like a VO2 effort here. I'm just like weaving all over the road. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna fast forward here to sort of a more interesting moment when the field gains a lot of time back on me, and unfortunately it takes them forever. But I'm doing 14 miles an hour, man, so they were doing a good job at slowing that field down. But to be fair, this is uphill, and I'm slogging up the hill. But anyway, let's jump forward and see what's going on. So the field gets within striking distance of me, and that means another rider is going to bridge and launch to me. And this rider had been super active all race, much like me. He comes across, man, he is super strong. So shout out to this dude. I don't know your name, man, but you rode a great race both days. He was attacking in the crit too, so great efforts out of him. And then, you know, at one point even he's like, you can sit in. I was like, dude, I can't even sit in at this point. I've been out here for too long. So we get a sort of a rotation going here, just for a couple minutes, man. But you can see the field is still not in sight in my rear cam. So we've still got a great gap. The problem is man, I just don't have the juice to put in enough to really keep this gap going for the duration of the race. So with that being said, he flicks me through. I do what I can, but it's just not enough to keep this fast, man. Like I said earlier, the field's doing like 35 down this little hill, and you can see we're only getting up to 32, 33 here. So in the end, it's not going to be enough to hold them off. So I'm going to jump forward to when we both finally get caught, which is like another, I don't know, 10 minutes or something ridiculous. Anyway, so the field is catching us, and another rider comes across. He's like, man, let's go. I'm like, dude, you don't realize I've been out here for a while, and I got nothing left in the tank, man. So I'm doing 500 watts again. Yeah, man, it's just a constant haymaker fest. But realistically, I was thinking, you know what? If us three patch this thing up and start working together, maybe it does work. Like, maybe I can rotate with these guys and get out of here. So I was trying to cover all these guys bridging across to me finally, but unfortunately, I was just not fresh enough. If they'd have bridged to me, like, you know, 12 minutes ago when I first started this shindig, then, you know, maybe we could have stayed away, but I didn't have the juice to jump in rotation here and do this. So the field is closing the gap slowly but surely. I don't think they were going to let our teams just patrol this thing forever. So we're coming through the start finish. We've still got the gap, and we're going to get caught here in just about, I think, another 30 seconds to a minute or so. And everybody likes to get a little amped up coming through the start finish so they can look super cool in front of all their fans. But anyway, yeah, so they track us down here in a minute, and this thing ain't gonna stick. All right, so I have jumped forward to the finale. We are going through the last, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corners, I think, to go. And as you can see, stuff is getting dicey. We're doing 30 through here. And I have managed to sit in the pack and hide and do whatever I can to recover. But as you can see, my heart rate is not reflecting that since I'm sitting at 177 BPM. So it's going to get real dicey right now. We're actually coming into the last 2 corners now. And basically, this race is a race to the last corner. And I knew that. So I was going to do everything in my power to just lay it down right here. So this is the last straight before the last corner. As you can see, I'm like, it's time to go. I'm sitting so far back. Part of that's because I'm absolutely dead from being off the front for so long and doing so much work and so much attacking early on. And I'm racing to this last corner. So I'm sprinting up here, and Isaiah, who I mentioned earlier, he 100% hears me. He's drilling. The stage 2 rider, he's also flying, and I come through this corner 4th, and I'm like, all right, step on the gas, give it all I got, get up to 980 there, way off my peak power, and I'm doing what I can. And unfortunately, a few guys carried some momentum around the outside, and I ended up with 7th in the field sprint. So first top 10 finish. Now I took 8th overall because, like I said earlier, that Go Fast rider soloed to victory. Huge shout out to him. What an absolute animal. Overall, I'm super happy with this result. It ended with me taking 9th officially on the USA Cycling website. I'm 9th officially overall in the Omnium. So we still managed to shake up the GC a little bit. The rider that went up the front took 4th. So congratulations to him. Yeah, man, I don't know. I personally thought it was a great ride for me, and I don't know. Super happy with it. That's all. Yeah, if you enjoyed this, hit that like button. Helps with my channel tremendously. Helps show this video to other people. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to see you guys here for more of this stuff. Anyway, see you soon. Have a great day. Thank you.